This is my Mountfield SP53H self-propelled lawnmower, powered by a Honda engine. And the problem is that the self-propel bit isn't working, so I just have to shove it. Anyway, in this video I'm going to have a look at it. So it helps to understand how the self-drive works when you're trying to find out why it's not working. And this video looks at it. And there's two levers on the handlebars. You can see them there. This top bar is what they call the Operator Presence Control Bar, the OPC, and the engine only operates when it's pulled up. Like that. As soon as you let it go, the engine stops. So it's a safety feature. You cannot leave the lawnmower with the engine running. You can't just walk away from it. But it's this second lever I'm most concerned about. This is the clutch lever, and it operates the self-drive. So when you lift it up like that with the engine running, the lawnmower should move forward without you having to shove it. And it's this bit which is not working. And like most small machines, it has what's called a belt clutch. So when the belt is slack, the drive pulley from the engine just slips round inside the belt and does nothing else. But when the belt is tight, the drive is transmitted to a second pulley which is on the gearbox. And I'm going to have a look at that now. And just a little warning here, because to do this I need to access the underside of the machine, and the manual says that access is gained by tilting the machine backwards, in other words lifting the front of the machine up, and it should not be laid on its side, but I'm going to need the light on its side to access this. And as with all things petrol, you take the usual precautions, you know, no naked lights and good ventilation. You should do it preferably outside, and disconnect the spark plug. Now on this side of the engine is the carburetor and the air filter, and that has got to be upwards. So I'm going to have to tilt the machine away from me so that the silencer, or muffler as they call it in the United States, and the oil filler cap are on the downside. And it says there, you see, there's a little warning they give you. So there's the underside of the engine. I've cleaned all the crud off and I've taken the blade off, which is quite easy. I need to take this cover off so I can get access to the belt. And to do it, there are two screws or little bolts. There's one there and there's one there, just the two of them. So I'll take them off now. When you get to this position, don't just keep leaving it up, otherwise you'll snap. A couple of retainers in here, so I'll just pull that off. and you need to be careful that you don't break these off. There's one there and there's another one there. And when you take this off, it's usually absolutely full of dead grass, chock-a-block. And there you can see the problem with mine. The belt has come off the pulley here. Right. So the belt runs from that drive, which comes on directly onto the engine, to a pulley attached to the gearbox. This little thing here is the gearbox, which we'll talk about more later. And there you can see the little pulley. There you can see the pulley on the end of the gearbox. So when the belt is slack, it doesn't turn this pulley. When the belt is tight, this pulley is turned and operates the gearbox. So let's just have a look and see how you tighten up this belt. So I'll put it back onto the pulley on the drive here. And there you can see the belt is slack. So when the engine is running, the belt just slips around this pulley here and doesn't turn it. How do you tighten this belt up so that the self-drive operates? When you pull on the clutch lever, this thing turns, it sort of twists round, and you can see there, if you look, how it tightens up the belt. When it does that, the belt starts driving the gearbox, which in turn drives the shafts to the wheels. And while I've got it off, it's probably a good idea to put a new drive belt on. And I've got one, I've managed to find one, so I'll put that on now. Now, you can take this boss off. It just pulls off. And when you pull it off, you notice there's a little key here. Make sure if it falls off you find it again. Don't lose it, otherwise the boss will just, when the engine turns on, the boss won't turn around at all. So make sure that stays in there, or stick it in your pocket until such time as you need it, when you put it all back together. The key runs in there, in that groove. Well, so there's the new belt in place. This is the clutch cable which comes round there and is attached to the gearbox by a little lever in here. I don't know whether we can see it, but we'll have a look. See that spring there? That's where it's attached to the lever. And more about that later. Now, also attached to the gearbox is this little rod which is part of the clutch adjustment. So I've just propped open the deflector flap, and underneath it is the clutch adjustment. There's normally a little cap on here, but I seem to have lost it. So that little rod sticks through here. And just dismantle it and have a look and see what's in there. So there you can see this little rod poking through the back, threaded, and these are the 4 bits to it. There's a little piece, a little sticking out piece there, which I need to engage with this groove at the bottom. There we are. And then the spring. And then this washer. And finally put the nut on the end. And the correct adjustment is there should be just 6mm between there and the top of the washer, not the bottom. So you're not measuring the gap. 6mm from there to the top of the washer. So I'll just tighten that nut up so you get those. That's 6mm. So there, that's about right. So now let's see if I pull on the clutch lever whether the gearbox turns around and tightens up that belt. When it's adjusted properly and the clutch lever is released, the wheels will go in both directions. If I pull the clutch lever, as I am doing now, the wheels should not go backwards. In other words, you can't pull the mower backwards. When I release it, they continue. When I pull it, they lock. So the clutch adjustment is correct now. So let's shove it all back together and see if it works. And the other thing to check while you're at it is are the gears inside the wheels. So I'll just take a wheel off and have a look at them. There you can see the drive on the end of the shaft, which is metal, and it runs against this plastic gear. So just to check the teeth on here, make sure they're not worn or broken off. If they are, then you're going to have to replace them. You can in fact buy this bit separately. You don't have to buy a whole wheel, fortunately. Anyway, that seems to be alright, and it's the same on the other side. The other side is okay as well. So all that remains to do is fit the blade and see if it all works. You probably need a little bit more adjustment. And when putting this back together, the difficult thing is getting these back into the little slots. They fit in. Well, all that remains now is to see if it works. If the clutch bites a bit too quickly, you can just slacken off the clutch cable here. 2 or 3 turns on there, and that should solve the problem. Well, that's really pleasing. It works an absolute treat. In fact, it's almost better than it was when it was new. Wonderful. I'll get on and cut this grass now. It took 2 hours. Yeah, see you again. Bye-bye. Well, just have a quick look inside this gearbox. On the end of this worm gear, somewhere down here, is the pulley. So when the belt is tight, this worm gear turns, and in turn it turns this gear. At the same time, attached to this little shaft, is the gearbox lever. So when you lift the clutch bar up, this turns. There's a little bump on it here, a cam, and that pushes this in that direction there. So that the drive from this gear is engaged with the shaft which drives the wheels. When you release the clutch bar, this turns the other way, this moves backwards, and the drive from this gear to the shaft is disengaged and the wheels stop turning. That's how it works. If there's something wrong with it, you cannot buy the separate bits, you have to buy the whole gearbox, which is expensive, going on £100. And while you've got the machine on its side, it's also a good time to change the oil. I don't think I've changed the oil on this machine since I got it. And as I say, one way of doing it is to tip it on its side, so the oil runs out of the filler cap. Because there's no drain plug on this machine, as there are on many machines. But anyway, if you've got lots of machines, it might be worth investing in one of these things. This is an oil pump. Sorry, this is an oil removal pump. It's a Briggs and Stratton thing, but they work very well apparently.